Hello everyone! Today I'm going to go over my first seed haul for 2026. Yes, I'm already prepared for next year, but first, I just want to give a shout out to this backdrop. I'm on the back deck now, which faces the church. I am never planting anything according to the recommended spacing ever again, because I'm pretty sure I gave most of these flowers 3 to 4 inches of space. It's beautiful. This is the fullest my garden's ever been. I have the same issues I always have: powdery mildew, scale. Not spacing them according to the recommendations has not changed the performance that I've experienced every single year. It's just now my garden is more full. So I am going to go over my very first seed order that I've already placed. This is from Johnny's Seed, which is where I get most of my seeds, but I am looking to branch out because I kind of, not that it's a bad rut, but I've kind of got into a rut of knowing the places I like to shop, knowing what I get, and I do want to try some new seeds from new places. So let me know your favorite place to get seeds down below. But this is the haul that I get every September of the seeds I need to have for next year, and I need to get them now just in case they sell out. Some do sell out. Usually that doesn't happen until early 2026 or early in the year that we're in, but I had to get these. So I'm going to go through, I think there's about 15 of them, and I will show you what I got. If I'm currently growing it, I will show you how it looks in my garden. If I'm not growing it, I will throw up some photos of it here, but I'm really excited for these varieties. Now, Johnny's seed packets don't have photos on them, but they do have a lot of information, which was very helpful when I was, well, I was going to say when I was starting out, but also is still very helpful. But the first one is one I've talked about, one of my favorites that I just tried this year. I believe it was a new release, and that is the Ballerina Zinnia. I have 3 of these growing in my garden. I'm impressed by how big they get, the productivity of them. They are the largest flower size of any zinnias I've ever grown in the garden. Now, I will say there is a little bit of variation between some of the flowers. I planted 3 in my garden this year, and the flowers on each plant look a little bit different. In fact, I'm going to go grab a flower off of each plant because they are right here in this border to show you what I mean. These 3 zinnias right here are all from the same Ballerina seed packet that I got last year from Johnny's Seed. So the first one here is more of what I would consider to be that true ballet slipper pink color. It also has the largest petals. They lay flat. It is really pretty, but just definitely looks a bit different than the other 2. The second plant has more rounded leaves, whereas this one's just slightly more like rectangular on the edge. This has a little bit of a curve. It's definitely more pink, and the inside is a lighter pink than the outside. And then lastly, we have this one, where the petals are a bit more ruffly. This is definitely more of a warmer toned pink. This almost looks more like the tutu, I think, of a ballerina. So I think the name applies to all of these, but I just want to put this out there that they all look very different. Because I have had people say, oh my gosh, I love how this one looks, but if you get a seed packet and you only plant one, they might look like this or different. So what I'm going to do, I love how all of these look, so I'm going to save seeds from each of these so that hopefully they turn out the same as the parent plant. You might be thinking at this time, Bethany, if you're going to save seeds, why did you get more? Well, this is how my brain works. If it's a plant I really love and I save seeds from it, what if all of the seeds I save don't germinate because I did something wrong? What? I don't know. But that's why I always have to have a backup. I always have a backup of a backup of a backup plan. So that is why I do purchase some of the seeds when I also save some of the seeds. Now, I realized I gave you no growing information. I should probably do that along with just the name of the flowers. So all zinnias are cut and come again. I think all the flowers that I have here are cut and come again. These, it says to start 4 weeks before last frost. I started them inside about mid-April, and then I moved them out mid-May. You can also direct seed them. Zinnias grow very quickly once they're planted. So if you don't want to spend time or you don't maybe have room inside to start a lot of seeds, zinnias are usually the first ones that if I don't have room or time, I'm just going to direct sow them. These can get between 30 to 40 inches tall. They definitely got near the 40 side for me in containers again. So even with some limited space, they got quite large. They are in my elevated beds right here, but the elevated beds are about a foot deep and 3 feet wide, and they're also shoved with a bunch of other plants. It does recommend 9-12 inches of spacing. I did not do that. They are fine. They have powdery mildew, but my zinnias always get powdery mildew. And it also says no support necessary, which I disagree with, probably because it is more windy up here than it is on the ground. But that's something I need to do differently next year with my really any zinnias that are over like 2 feet tall, is add some supports so they don't fall and break. Then I have 2 more zinnias, and this is where I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think I might not grow next year as well. Who knows? Sometimes I say that and then I find a space for something I didn't plan to grow. But my middle bed, like I mentioned, has the Queenie Lime series in it. I have Queenie Lime Red, Queenie Lime Blush, Queenie Lime Orange, and Queenie Lemon Peach. And I like them all, but I just found that for some reason, first off, the orange has done a lot better, and that's not my favorite. So I wanted to fill my small space with my favorites. So I've only purchased 2 of the Queenie Lime series, the Queenie Red Lime and the Queenie Lemon Peach. And these are the only 2 I say I'm going to start next year. I probably do have some extra seeds of the other varieties. I will probably save some as well, but I really want to focus my garden more specifically around what I really, really love. So I'm not harvesting and Queenie Orange Zinnia and thinking, man, I wish I had planted more of the Queenie Lime Red. These are also 30 to 40 inches. Nothing gets as tall as the Ballerina Zinnia. I think the Ballerina Zinnia gets as tall as my giant Benaries, which are 40 to 50. These stay more in the 30, 40 inch range. And yes, I definitely should have used supports for these as well. Now let's move on to some Statice. I love Statice as a dried flower. I don't necessarily love it in the garden though, because last year I planted it in the front row because it was one of the shorter flowers, and it does send up the flower stalks. You harvest them though, and then the leaves are all at the ground level, so it looks like there's a hole in your bed. This year I planted the Statice in the second row, and that was perfect. It hid the leaves when I had harvested the flowers, because you take all the flowers off and then some more will sprout eventually. But I take all the flowers off, you can't even tell that there's a hole missing in the garden. I dry them, I use them in Christmas trees, wreaths, decor, whatever I want to do. But these are one of the flowers that looks exactly how it is in the garden when it dries. They look the same. So I got some Statice that I've grown before, and I have some new varieties that were sold out and are not right now. So I'm excited to try them. But the ones that I've done before are all from what's called the Seeker series. I have 3 of those. I have Seeker Rose Shades, which is a really beautiful blue-leaning pink color. I think I've harvested all of the Statice currently blooming, so I will have to put in pictures of it here. But I have the Seeker Rose Shades. I have the Seeker Blue, which is very close, I would say, to a true blue flower, which I find is something that's a bit hard to actually get in your garden. So those are really beautiful. They're like more like a traditional deeper blue. And then I have the Seeker Pastel Blue. What's interesting about this one is I did buy a Seeker Pastel Blue seed packet 2 years ago, but all of them were the deep blue. These are supposed to be a light blue. So we're gonna see next year if I do have actually 2 different shades of blue in the Seeker Statice series. Then I have 2 new to me Statice seeds. This first one here is the Forever Happy, which is a really beautiful lavender rose shade. I love the pinks. I love the pinks going into purple, so this is gonna be perfect. And it's more purple than the rose shades, but it's not, I wouldn't call it a purple. It still looks a little bit more pink. So I'm really excited to try this one out. It has the same shape, height, what is the height on this? 20 to 30 inches as this Seeker series, also Cut and Come Again. The last Statice looks a little bit different. It's Pink Poker Statice, and I know I don't have any to show you, but I do know what they look like, and there should be an image on the screen. Aren't these beautiful? So these have a much longer flower than the typical Statice. Usually the other varieties that I grow, the flowers may be about 1 inch long on the end of the stem. These go way further down the stem. They look a bit more, I think fluffy is the right word, but the flowers are definitely more visible and stand out more than the other varieties. And it's a pink, more of a warm leaning pink. So I think all of these will work very nicely together. I think these are, about the same height, 20 to 30 inches. What I'm gonna do next year is still plant these in the second row, but ignore spacing even more, because I feel like I can do 2 inches between each and still get them to grow. So we'll see how that goes next year. Next, I have 2 Cosmos. So the Cosmos that I've grown so far every single year has been Cupcakes Blush. I like it. I don't know if I love it as much as some other colors that I found. I still have some Cupcake Blush Cosmos seeds left over from last year's seed packet. My Cosmos have already died this season. I didn't save any seeds from those, but I might not grow it next year. I might just grow 2 new varieties that are still a pink color. But the first one is Cosmos Apricota. I swear I've been seeing these everywhere this year. I saw them at the Chicago Botanic Garden. I've seen them in people's yards. I've just seen them out and about. And I would say they're more multicolored. They are pink overall, but there's some hints of orange, hints of purple. And I'm really excited to have more bold colors of Cosmos. Not that this is necessarily the boldest, loudest color in the garden, but compared to a very, very light shade of pink that sometimes almost looks white, I'm excited to grow these and see how they do. These say they'll get to about 36 to 48 inches. That's about how tall my Cosmos get. I did start these inside about 6 to 7 weeks before last frost. My Cosmos, some years they do okay. Some years they do great and then die early, which is what happened this year. And then sometimes they do great and live the whole season. So I never really know exactly how they're going to perform up here, but I'm very excited to try some new colors. So this is one of them, Apricota, and the other is Double Click Rose Bonbon. They are pink, but they have more layers of petals. They almost look to me more like a dahlia. If I was just looking at the flower from afar, I'm so excited to try these. They are definitely a more vibrant pink than the Cupcakes blush that I've been growing. I'm in the mood for more colorful Cosmos, and I think these are going to be the perfect additions. Now I think the rest of these, I only have one of each type of plant, and I don't know if I'm going to only grow one next year, but we'll see. But the first is my China Asters, which I do love. It's just that this year I kind of had a meh year. I feel like germination was average to okay, but then when I brought them out in the garden, I feel like some of them died right away. Some of them grew, but then got scale. It's just that they didn't do very well for very long. I did get a bunch of flowers off of some of them, but not all of them. And looking around now, I think I've actually pulled all of the China Asters because they were covered in scale, but I'm definitely going to grow some of the Hexaster Hagen Light Blue. And because of the kind of okay germination rates, these are ones where I will get new seeds. And the reason I chose this one is because it's my favorite color and shape. I just love how these flowers look. So I'm hoping that growing more of one variety, where usually I think I had 8 different varieties of China Asters, so I maybe started 2 of each, but let's say I start 10 of these, at least some of them have to do well, right? So I'm gonna try maybe just one variety of China Aster, but I still love them. That's what's hard. If they perform well, they're beautiful. I just hit a meh year in the garden, so we'll see. But if they do great next year, then I'll be back to having a bunch of them in my garden. The next one is Didyscus Lacy Lavender Blue. I actually did grow this one this year, but they got completely smothered out by the other plants, and I think that was my fault. So these get to between 24 to 36 inches tall is what it says on here. That's not what happened in my garden. Because of the average height, these were actually in the back of these beds. Maybe it was the middle, either the middle or the back, and they were the shortest of all of the plants. Even when they weren't covered, because they weren't one of the first to start growing, but they just got covered so quickly that I barely got any time with them. So I love them. I did do a few different colors, but the pink was, again, almost white. I don't love a lot of white in this garden up here. So I'm going with the Lacy Lavender Blue, which I did grow and really did enjoy the color when I saw it. So I'm hoping that next year I'll have these more visibly in my garden. And also, they do kind of go pretty well with the Hexaster Hagen Light Blue. I have 3 more seed packets left, and each of these are completely new to me, both the varieties and the actual plants themselves. I've never grown, so I am going to look up a little bit more of the growing information with you because I'm very excited to try these out. But the first one is Bells of Ireland. So one thing I knew that I needed in the garden was more filler flowers for bouquets. The Angelonia has kind of been that for me in the garden this year, which is fantastic. Those are also cut and come again. The plants are so productive. I've had no issues with pest or disease, so grow some Angelonia. At least try it out in your garden if you haven't already. But I think the Bells of Ireland will be nice because they'll add more of that green tone, which most of my flowers are not green, so it'll stand out a little bit. They also make really good dried flowers, so I can use them as a combination of both. Now here is what it says on the Johnny's Seed website. It's a productive annual foliage crop. The long stems are covered with bright apple green bell-shaped 2-inch calyxes centered with tiny white blooms, uses a spike or filler flower, excellent dried arrangements, and the blooms have a lovely sour apple scent. So I'm excited to see if they actually do smell like that, because I don't know, maybe my nose doesn't work, but some of the ones that they say smell, I smell nothing when I sniff them, but I can smell other things. So I don't know, we'll see next year. And it says that for this one, direct seeding is recommended. So in early spring, do not cover seed as light is required for germination. Harvest regularly to promote blooms of side shoots. That's not a problem. I harvest my flowers all the time. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this one does. If you've grown Bells of Ireland, let me know and give me any tips that you might have. The next new to me flower is Black Knight Scabiosa. I saw the color of these. They are very, 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 very deep purple, almost black looking. I love all of the almost black looking flowers that I have in my garden. I have some calla lilies that are very, very deep purple that I love. So I'm very excited to try these out. These will get to between 24 to 36 inches. And it does recommend transplanting these seeds 4 to 6 weeks before planting out. So I'll probably start them around the same time as I'll start my China Asters, or one China Aster, we'll see. Let's see, harden off and transplant outside for last frost. For direct seeding, successive plantings every 2 to 3 weeks until late spring give the best quality flowers and pods. They may require support. I will add support to mine. They also prefer sun. And then the final new to me seed is another one that I got to use as fillers in my bouquets. This is the green gold Bupleurum. Close enough for me. And these I see all the time, whether it's in other bouquets elsewhere or even growing. I feel like I always see this flower, and I thought I should try it out in my garden. So I'm going to do that. These will get to between 24 to 36 inches tall. It says here, use as fresh or dried. Another option for a dried flower. Provides interest at the back of flower beds. 24 to 36, I'm not putting this at the back of my flower beds. For transplanting, so 5 to 8 weeks before planting out. Direct seeds sown to cool soil for best results. Cover seeds with 1/4 inch of soil. Thin the seedlings, space 4 to 10 inches apart. So that means I'll probably do 2 inches apart for these. And it does say staking may be necessary in windy conditions. I know it's not windy right now, but I swear it is sometimes. So that's what's on my I need to buy these seeds in September of the prior year for the next year seed haul. Let me know if you've bought any seeds yet. Let me know if there's anything that you are excited to try out next year. And for those last 3, if you have grown them before, whether it's in containers or not, let me know any tips that you might have. But I'm very excited. I feel like I'm really good at planning early for the next year until I actually move the plants outside. I'm good at buying the seeds. I'm good at organizing my seeds. I'm good at starting my seeds. And then as soon as I plant, all the plans go out the window and I end up with a beautiful mess of flowers. So I'm excited to try those next year. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. You know what, while we're out here, I might as well just point to different things and tell you what they are. So those are the ballerina zinnias. Those are the ones that have more of the ruffled petals on them. That is my wine-eyed Jill dahlia. All those up there, all one plant. All the zinnias you see are all one plant. I don't know what dahlia that is. This is Lilac Time. Up there is Otto's Thrill, Thomas Edison, and then the petunias in the back are the Supertunia Cool Jazz. Supertunia Vista Cool Jazz. I think that's everything you can see.